What mind-blowing, but simple, facts would satisfy a 4-year-old daughter's daily request for one fact before bedtime? The point I'm making is that we are way more than just an apex predator. An apex predator fills a niche on the food chain. Biologists don't have a designation on that scale for what we are, but that brings up an even larger point. We are the ones who care about apex predators. No other species has biologists that talk about apex predators, or even people on the internet that discuss whether what they are doing is right or wrong. We see articles and videos that talk about how sweet and kind animals are, so therefore they should be protected, but those qualities are ones we as humans value. We are literally stuck looking through a lens up on our pedestal. It's apples to oranges. Also, on a tangential note, look up pursuit predation if you want to talk about humans outrunning a cheetah. No animal can outrun a human given enough time. We just don't stop. Not that it's the point I'm trying to make, I just think it's fascinating and enriching. You heard about the guy in the sauna? He was there with 2 other guys, all naked. Suddenly there's a ringing sound, but he sees no phones. Then one of the guys sticks his hand right into the side of his belly fat and pulls out a phone. He answers. The second guy goes into his thigh, pulls out a tablet and starts typing up an email. When they're done, he asks them, "WTF is going on? You haven't heard about skin pockets? Everyone's getting them these days, so practical." The week after, they're all back in the sauna. Suddenly there's a weird sound, and our guy starts pulling sheets of paper out of his ass like it's completely normal. The 2 other guys look at him and asks what the hell is going on, to which he replies, "Oh, I'm just receiving a fax. Thanks." Also, we know that the Latin vocabulary and alphabet, literally alpha beta, took heavy influences from Greek, so it is possible that it can jump around like that. For example, a lot of the declensions and endings are similar or the same as the Greek ones. Learning both at once, I can definitely say that knowing one gives a huge advantage when learning the other. Edit, we also know how they were named. Something about someone being mistaken for a bear, being shot with an arrow and then immortalized in the sky by the gods as constellations. The picture on the left is the rod of Asclepios, symbol of the deity associated with healing and medicine. Medical temples were named after him, and I think Hippocrates also worked at one. Hippocrates is famous for the Hippocrates oath that doctors pledge, do no harm and medicate people and such. So, due to its medical history nature, this symbols is used a lot by the medical community. It is used in logos, placed on ambulances and buildings, etc. Now, there is another symbol that contains not 1, but 2 snakes. This is depicted on the right of that previous picture. That staff is a caduceus, Hermes staff. Now, Hermes was also a Greek god. He was the god's messenger, but he was also the god of travelers, merchants/trade, and thieves, since thieves often traveled a lot. He is also known as a trickster. While Hermes is my favorite Greek god, and is the god of a lot of useful things, roads, trade, etc., he is not a healer. So, seeing a serious medical practitioner using the symbol of the trickster god of thieves instead of the medical symbol, well, that is just funny to me. 1 snake, no wings equals the medical one. 2 snakes, possibly wings equals not the medical one. The juice is super common here in Brazil. Funnily, I was drinking a glass while browsing this topic. Eating the fruit is a lot less common, because it's astringent and acidic. But I used to like it as a child. P.S. It's curious, to me, that the nut is so much more famous than the fruit in other countries, cause I don't enjoy it half as much as the juice. Not that people don't eat it here. They sure do, as topping for ice creams, salted as a snack. This triggered me. I'm not attacking you, but the culinary versus botanical definitions of produce are so inconsistent that it blows my mind, and you just reminded me. Botanically, nuts are fruits. Cashews, almonds, walnuts, pecans, etc. are not nuts. They are seeds. Hazelnuts are the only botanical nut I've seen available in grocery stores. Acorns are also nuts, and a fruit. Botanically speaking, squash, cucumbers, peppers, and tomatoes are fruit. Botanically, strawberries are not considered a berry, but a pumpkin is definitely a berry. Meanwhile, people seem to love to make the correction, tomatoes are actually a fruit, not a vegetable. And to that, I say, watermelon is actually a vegetable. I've never actually said that, but Oklahoma's state vegetable is watermelon, and I can't argue with that. At the end of this unnecessary rant, I want to ask, how did we come to this? Botanists did their thing and defined those words, and the rest of the world just it's not sweet like most fruit so it must be a vegetable, etc. TLDR, nuts are fruit and you have probably never eaten a nut in your life. Botanically. Also tomatoes are vegetables, right? Oh my gosh, yes. It used to be that I'd lay a whole clutch of eggs and end up having one, maybe two hatch. Then they'd slither off and I'd be left with nothing. Everyone told me dogs were better than cats since dogs will make sure other humans don't steal any of your eggs, but the media really does vastly overstate the amount of humans that steal eggs. And they could have mine, anyway. They were full of bugs. Now that I got a cat instead, I've had a much higher success rate. Getting nearly 98% to hatch each time, and the cat hardly ever eats more than one of them after hatching. Still trying to work out how to keep them from escaping after they hatch though. Basically, imagine a long balloon with a kink in the rubber on one side, you inflate it on one end and there's a little grippy pad, spider foot, on the other. When you first start inflating it, the balloon is more flexible and the kink is more pronounced. As you inflate it, the pressure on the inside of the balloon increases to make it more rigid and reduce the kink, straightening and extending the balloon in the process. Spider legs are long balloons with inward kinks, they inflate and straighten to extend, they deflate and kink again to pull the foot and spider closer together and therefore move the spider towards its destination. Thanks for that. I just put down my cat of 16 years, so I'm not looking for a more intense or interactive pet. I'm going to float the idea of a tarantula with my kids. They may love it just for the ick factor. Is there a reputable place to see/buy one? I think taking the kids to see the spiders rather than just bringing one home work better. No wife to get approval, she passed away a few years ago, but the live-in in-laws would hate it, which means it would be perfect and I should get one immediately. My goldfish comment wasn't about them being non-interactive, but that many clueless people put goldfish in two small bowls and then think they're only supposed to live for a couple months instead of years. I don't want to be that guy but with spiders instead of fish. Meaning if I do this, I want to do it right. I am really sorry to hear that, hope you are doing good now. As you can see, my English is pretty bad. I don't live in US so I couldn't tell you where exactly is the best place to buy. But you should definitely check out and do research in /r/tarantulas, people there are very friendly and helpful, and the sidebar/wiki have a lot of useful informations. I recommend you to look for a terrestrial tarantula as your first. They spend most of the time just on the ground, and usually easier to take care of than those which live on trees or burrows. Chili Rose was the most popular first pet, but there are many other options as well. Going through this right now. We had 2 females, and 1 passed. We took the remaining guinea pig to a rescue to try and get her matched with a new cage mate. We left her with the rescue for a couple of days while they tried to find another female, but she was a complete bully to everyone they tried, and simply wouldn't accept another cage mate. Sometimes guinea pigs simply won't get along with others, and she always was kinda a bitch to the other one we had. Right now she's alone, and seems as happy as usual, is eating fine, is active, and seems as normal as ever. However, we still are considering putting a partition in the cage, it's big enough, and getting 2 more, just so she has some other company, and she won't need to share the space with them. It's complicated. It's not as black and white as all guinea pigs need a cage mate. Some guinea pigs will be fine by themselves. Wish more people knew this about guinea pigs. I'd never heard that before and known people who only had one. Though at least one of them was solo because they ate the other one. Or ate all the babies. I agree, if someone doesn't want their pet anymore, they are obligated to find them a new home that does. I disagree on never having them in the first place because you are tired. No matter how much you research, there will be unexpected circumstances. Life changes. I had no idea I'd have astronomical medical bills before I adopted all my critters. I had no idea I'd get so sick I wouldn't physically be able to provide for them, or that I'd be choosing between my medical bills and theirs. I was very fortunate to have enough support that their needs were taken care of when I could barely get out of bed. I had to seriously consider rehoming because I was exhausted just trying to survive each day, even before I cared for my critters. I had nothing left for them. Does that mean I never should have had them? Does that undermine the 6 to 15 years I've had with them already? As long as the animal is well cared for, I think it's a good thing to rehome them when you find yourself emotionally uninterested or physically incapable of caring for them.